Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Snow, and in today's video, let's talk about SP Inanna. She's a powerful and versatile character that's an absolute amazing pickup for any account. You'll see what I mean when we go over her skill kit and build. Before discussing anything else, let's talk about her trait skill. It's called Free Will, and there's a lot to this trait skill, but a lot gets added by increasing her star level, so keep that in mind. So there's two main parts to her trait skill. First, she starts getting an attack and defense increase from 2 stars and up. The increase starts at a 10% increase at 2 stars, and it increases by 5% for each star level, reaching a maximum of a 25% increase. She also gets a movement increase of 1 tile when she has her special buff Free Will, and this increases to 2 tiles when she reaches 3 stars. Free Will is a special mechanic that's built into her trait skill. It's a buff that's tied to a special skill called Call of Freedom, and we'll go over that skill in a bit. Free Will is a stackable buff that can stack up to a maximum of 12, and when she has 8 stacks, it will proc her skill Call of Freedom. Call of Freedom is an instant skill that can be triggered up to 1 time per round, and has a cost of 8 stacks and 2 energy when she's base star level, but the energy requirement gets removed when she's 3 stars. This skill heals a single target for a certain percent of her physical attack, and grants a buff called Freedom Stance, which at base star level lets the character act again after casting non-instant skills, and it's upgraded to a level 2 buff when SP Inanna is 4 stars. So in addition to the act again component of the buff, it will also recover the target's energy by 2. The healing component of Call of Freedom also increases. It starts at 30% of her physical attack at base star level and increases to the maximum of 90% of her physical attack at 3 stars. Increasing her star level to 3 stars also adds additional buffs to this special skill. So at 3 stars, it adds a level 2 damage and damage reduction buff, and those buffs last for 2 turns. So the ally target will get a 20% increase to damage and a 20% decrease to damage taken. Lastly, when SP Inanna reaches 5 stars, she'll also gain all effects of this skill when the skill is cast on one of her allies. As I stated before, her star level is going to have a massive impact on how powerful she's going to be and how powerful this skill is going to be. Honestly, between granting buffs for acting again, damage, and damage reduction, in addition to healing, this special skill alone offers so much, and it's probably the biggest part of her trait skill. She has a few ways to get stacks. First, she gets 6 stacks of Free Will at the start of battle. This is at base star level. The amount of stacks she gains at the start of battle increases to 8 stacks at 2 stars. So she'll be able to use her special skill Call of Freedom right when the battle starts. Whereas at base star level, you'll need to wait for her next turn before being able to use Call of Freedom. She does have a skill in her kit that alleviates this issue, and we'll go over that in a bit. She'll also gain 2 stacks of Free Will at the end of her turn at base star level, and it increases to 3 stacks at 4 stars. Being able to use Call of Freedom at the start of battle and as frequently as possible is extremely valuable, because since it's an instant skill, it doesn't waste her turn, and you can combo this into other skills. Next, let's discuss her skill build and setup. There are a few ways you can build her, because you can make her more damage oriented or support oriented depending on what you need. But this skill setup is a primary setup people use with SP Inanna, and as for the bottom 2 skills, those can be swapped in depending on the situation and need. And we'll go through all of these in more detail. For her basic attack, her best option is called Swordsmanship, also referred to as Sword of Dawn Light. This attacks a designated target dealing AOE magic damage equal to 100% physical attack. It's also a ranged attack reaching 2 to 3 tiles away. So this is a great option for her, because it gives her flexibility in contributing damage while staying in range of her allies, so you can also take advantage of her supportive skills. For her reaction skill, her best option is her silhouette skill, which is unlocked when you reach 3 stars with SP Inanna, and learn the skill Battlefield Trial with the original Inanna. You could also unlock a special skill for the original Inanna when you pick up SP Inanna's rank 1 skill called Lily of the Valley Sword Technique. It's also called Convaleria Swordplay, so you will need to own the original form of Inanna to get access to the special silhouette skill for SP Inanna. Once this skill is unlocked, you'll get access to her silhouette skill called Past Fighters. It's also called Battle Hardened Warrior. With this skill, whenever an ally or enemy within 5 tiles uses a non-instant skill, this includes basic attacks as well, SP Inanna will gain 1 stack of Battlefield Trial. This is a stackable buff that increases attack and reduces damage taken by 2%, and this can stack up to 15 times to give a maximum of a 30% increase to attack and reduction to damage taken. In addition, when she reaches max stacks of Battlefield Trial, she'll gain an aura effect called Attack Command, and this will give her allies within 2 spaces increases to physical attack and magic attack by 12%. This reaction skill also lets her gain 1 stack of free will whenever SP Inanna uses a non-instant skill, but she has to be at max Battlefield Trial stacks for this to proc. When this reaction skill procs, you'll see a rainbow effect over SP Inanna, and the bonuses only get applied to her, whereas the aura effect at max Battlefield stacks will be applied to her allies. This is her primary reaction skill that you'll want to use. Her other reaction skill options at rank 5 will just be more of a placeholder. However, if you need to choose or pick one of the skills, pick the skill on the left, which is called Born with Swordmanship. This will give SP Inanna some offensive capabilities, since it lets her perform a preemptive strike to deal magic damage to a single target. But this also gives her access to an unyielding buff. This lets her revive and recover 35% of her HP 1 time per battle. She'll also gain a 90% damage reduction buff that will last for 1 turn. This skill is a really good placeholder, but it's also a really great option to have access to for certain situations, if you need SP Inanna to have more sustainability. Otherwise, her main reaction skill will be her silhouette skill. As for her 3 skill slots, there's 4 skills you'll want to pick up, and 1 skill you may want to consider getting, but it's optional. The first skill is called Lily of the Valley Technique. It's also called Convaleria Swordplay, and this is a decision-style skill with 2 options. The first option is called Blooming Horizon, and this is a damage-dealing skill that deals magical damage equal to 100% of physical attack to all enemies in a 3x3 area in front. And when she only hits 1 enemy, the skill multiplier is increased to 150%. Additionally, after she attacks, she'll gain a damage reduction 2 buff for 2 turns, and this is going to decrease her damage taken by 20%. The second option is called Windswept Blossom, and this is another damage-dealing skill that deals 150% damage to all enemies within 3 tiles in front, and knocks them back 1 tile. And after she attacks, she'll gain a damage reduction 2 buff that will last for 2 turns. This is a really great damage-dealing skill that gives her access to an AOE knockback and some damage mitigation through the damage reduction buff. But it's also one of her primary skills, so you'll want to carry this in her kit, especially for an offensive style build. Also, by picking up this skill, it allows you to unlock the special skill for the original Inanna, so this skill is definitely worth picking up. Her other skill at rank 1 is a skill you may want to pick up as well, especially if you want her to have more supportive capabilities. This skill is called Light of Convaleria, and it's a great skill to pick up when SP Inanna isn't 3 stars, because this will give her stacks for free. So you'll be able to cast her skill, Call of Freedom, at the beginning of battle, even when she's base star level. You also get the benefit of some team-wide buffs for attack, movement, and energy recovery. It also has a wide effect area range. The skill does have a cost and cooldown, but it's a nice option to have in general. This is helpful for turn cycling her skill, Call of Freedom, especially when she's not 3 stars or more. It's also a great option if you want to focus on using her as a support. Another one of her primary skills is a skill at rank 7 called Guarding the Sword of Convaleria. This is a passive skill that gives SP Inanna a 20% increase to attack and a decrease in damage taken if there are at least 2 allies within 2 tiles of her. This passive also gives her the ability to convert 2 buffs on the enemy target into level 2 attribute debuffs after she deals physical damage, and the debuffs last for 2 turns. This passive will also increase the knockback distance of skills, like her decision skill, by 1 additional tile. The next skill we're going to talk about is one of her rank 11 skills, and this is her ultimate skill, Battle Flag of Convaleria. This is a supportive instant skill that lets Inanna select a tile within a 3-tile range to summon a flag on the target tile. The flag provides a number of benefits to all allies within range that are from the area and Sword of Convaleria factions. Those allies will get a 10% increase to attack, a 20% increase to defense, and a 3% damage increase for every ally from those factions you have on your team, and this can go up to 15%. This skill will also grant co-attack and co-defense to all allies within 5 tiles for 2 turns. Co-attack is a buff that increases attack by 5% per ally within 2 tiles, and this can reach a maximum of a 15% attack increase. Co-defense is also a buff which increases defense by 10% per ally within 2 tiles, and this can reach a maximum of 40%. After casting Battle Flag of Convaleria, the skill will switch to a different skill called For This World of Peace. In this case, this skill is a magical AOE damage dealing skill, and this deals damage equal to 130% of physical attack to the target and all enemies within 2 tiles. It will also dispel 5 buffs from the targets before attacking. If only one enemy is hit by this attack, the skill multiplier is increased to 180%. And after this skill is used, it will switch back to the other skill, Battle Flag of Convaleria. This is a fantastic skill that offers a combination of supportive buffs for your team for both attack and defense, while also granting you access to a powerful AOE magic damage dealing skill. You definitely want to pick up this skill at rank 11, especially since you can combo the Battle Flag skill, because it's an instant skill, into the World of Peace skill or another skill. Her other skill at rank 11 is something you may want to consider getting, but it's optional. This is a leader aura skill called Under the Flag of Convaleria, and this gives a 10% increase to attack and a 20% increase to defense for all allies on your team from the area or Sword of Convaleria faction. They'll also get a 3% increase to damage dealt and reduction in damage taken for each 1 ally from area or Sword of Convaleria in battle, and these increases can go up to 15%. This isn't a bad skill, and the aura skills can come in handy in some situations. However, SP Inanna has a lot of skills competing for her limited 3 slots, so this aura skill, while good, is something that's optional. So her skill tree selection will look something like this, with the top skill line being a good setup to make use of both her offensive and supportive capabilities, and the other skills can be swapped in as needed. Next, let's talk about her equipment setup. For her weapon, her signature weapon is obviously an amazing option for her, as it grants a flat increase in magical AOE damage, as well as a buff that further increases her magical AOE damage. You can also use something like Nocturnal Glow, which is SP Sophia's special weapon. This gives nice increases to attack and defense, while offering supportive benefits like dispelling debuffs, granting buffs, and increasing damage. Some other options are the Cornucopia Dagger for its energy recovery, which will let you use her skills more frequently, especially her decision skill and ultimate skill, which have higher energy costs. As for free-to-play options, something like Newborn Blade could work, since it grants a bonus to physical attack based on her HP. It's not really an ideal weapon, but the physical attack will help increase both her healing and damage of her skills, since those are based on her physical attack. but her signature weapon is really her best option. For her trinket, you can use something like Shield of Justice, which offers some sustainability through the shield, as well as provides increases to both attack and defense. Blood Luxite Amulet is another great option, since it gives big increases to magical AOE damage. However, Old Scrolls of Auguste can also work for its supportive benefits for granting an ally a level 2 buff, which can be a stat attribute, healing, movement, or immunity, as well as a speed increase buff. The first two options are good for damage, whereas the third option is good for its supportive capabilities. For her Whisper, Magician is a great option considering it increases damage of AoE attacks, which SP Inanna's kit is full of, including her basic attack. But Devil can also work for giving her an increase to her damage, especially if there's a lot of enemies on the battlefield. And for her engravings, the best option is Sword and Wand, which would give her an increase to attack and defense of 4% for each tile transversed, and the increase can go up to 12%, so this is a great option for increasing her damage and tankiness. SP Inanna is a top-tier character that offers powerful offensive and supportive capabilities to not only herself, but her allies. Her kit is stacked with powerful AoE magical damage dealing skills, as well as supportive buffs for attack, defense, movement, energy regeneration, and even an Act Again skill that's built into her trait skill. She even provides healing for her team. She's an extremely powerful character that does almost everything, and is absolutely a character you want to get and build for your account. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.